Hello, Haz. Welcome back to the Caribbean. Today we're going to explore the human geography of the Caribbean. Okay, can you remember what human geography is? If you can, could you explain it to a partner or somebody at home? Human geography is the study of the people in an area. You can look at the people's relationships to each other and their relationship to the location. I wonder what are some examples of human geography? Well, we've talked about some of these when we looked at three main islands. We talked about the population, which is the number of people, the imports and exports, so what's bought and sold through businesses there, how the land's used. Is it used for farming or is it mostly covered in cities? Are there other types of settlements? Are there large places where people just live in small houses? You can also look at the culture of an area. That includes the religion, the food, and the music. And we've talked about a few of these things before. The history of the Caribbean island plays a big part in its human geography and how it's developed. I wonder, do you know what colonisation means? Well, to colonise somewhere means to settle or live among and establish control over the indigenous people of an area. And indigenous means the first people to live in an area or that they were originally from that place. So I wonder who started colonising Caribbean. It was Christopher Columbus, of course. Although there were already people living on the islands, Christopher Columbus claimed the region for Spain. After his discovery, many other countries sent ships to colonize other regions of the Caribbean. Throughout the years, some islands changed hands between different countries. Many European countries saw big potential in the islands of the Caribbean. They began claiming the islands as territories. The native people didn't have much choice in this. They were often overpowered by the countries colonizing the island and forced into slavery. You can see that the Spanish, British, French, people from Denmark and the Netherlands all took over some of the islands there. The climate in the Caribbean was perfect for growing crops like coffee, cotton, sugar, and tobacco, which made cigarettes. These could then be sold back into the colonizers' home country for a very high price. However, to grow the crops, they needed a lot more people to work in the fields to harvest and process the crop. The solution they found was to transport captured and enslaved people from Africa out to the Caribbean to work as forced labourers on the plantation. This is now known as the Atlantic slave trade. It's estimated that over 5 million enslaved people were brought to the Caribbean from Africa against their will. And there's a photograph of slaves working on a sugar plantation in Jamaica. Haiti became one of the French's prized territories for producing valued crops of sugar and coffee. They brought in more and more slaves until the French settlers were outnumbered by the enslaved people by almost 10 to 1. This eventually led to a slave revolt, where the enslaved people rebelled against the French and took charge. Haiti became independent from France and was the first country to be ruled by former slaves. The enslaved people remained proud of their African heritage, religion, foods, music, and traditions. When slavery was abolished and they became free people, their African culture and traditions became mixed with the culture and traditions from the colonizer's country. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the foods of the Caribbean, many of which originated in Africa and thrived in the warm tropical climate. Do you already know any Caribbean foods? Well, let me link you to this video and you can have a little look. When you come back, you can have a look at the sheet and decide which of these fruits originated in the Caribbean and which have come from the UK. You might write some sentences explaining why you think the fruits are from the Caribbean and why they're different to the ones that we grow in the UK. I wonder which ones you've tried before. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about the human geography, and I look forward to seeing you next week to talk a little bit more about the Caribbean.